Hello, I'm Steve, and this is Awakened Mind Podcast, and my guest today is Lawrence of Purple Energy. Lawrence was born with innate psychic abilities, the main ones being able to see entities and energy with his physical eyes and being able to sense the energy from people, items, and locations. He does entity implant removal, soul restoration, and a host of other things, and it's a great honor to have him on the show. Lawrence, welcome.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
Yeah, so you are very interesting to me. I've had sessions with you. So for me, right now, you're feeling my energy. This whole thing is almost hard to understand. Like I'm in another country, and you can just pick up on what I'm feeling because you're that intuitive. Is that correct?
Yes, every person has their own individual energy signature. So long as they're alive or dead and still on the matrix, unless I really turn it off, I feel the energy of the particular person. It can be just speaking with them, or it can be through a picture or anything else. Regardless of really space, time is pretty consistent. If someone's dead, it's quite clear that their energy is dead. It doesn't, I wouldn't feel them as if they're alive. But space, when it comes to energy, in this matrix, is pretty much not a factor.
That's wild. So if you are intuitive in that sense, if you go to a shopping mall, do you shield yourself so you don't, get imprinted with everyone's energy?
Well, I'll use a better analogy. I don't go shopping much. I go to the gym quite a bit, and especially if the gym's packed, and there are some really corrupted people at the gym, and they'll walk by, and it used to be really up until a few months ago when I was finally strong enough to fully stop it. Someone would walk by me, and I'd feel the energy trying to latch onto me, and their energy's trying to bridge across, and I would have to consciously focus there and start erasing this bridge so it didn't happen. And the closer they are, the more obvious it is. If they're across the gym, it's really not a problem. But if they're walking by me and brushing up against me, if they're a regular person, it's not a problem. But if they're covered, and most people in this world, unfortunately, it's people I come across, are quite covered in negative entities. So
Gotcha.
Whenever I'm in public, I'm always on guard against.
So that's just insane. So, but just to put some meat on the bone, as Tony would say, the average person is not very conscious of anything other than their physical body, or they're not thinking about it. Like, hey, there's more to me than my physical body. So when you say you feel something like trying to latch onto your shoulder, this person who's doing that has no sense of this. And what is it exactly on them that's doing it to you?
Well, okay, so essentially most people are aware that, hopefully, they're aware that they have a physical body, right, in the third dimension. And then everything really third dimension above, I'll just keep it very simple. We'll call that the energy world, right? In the energy world, you have an energy body. And then you have your own energy ecosystem inside of your energy body. So in here, negative entities, think of demons, ghosts, monsters, whatever you want, are real to an extent. They're not physically real, but they're energetically real in the energy world. And they invade your energy body and cause all sorts of problems. And once they're in there, they can then latch on and feed off other people through their host's energy, essentially. Just by going near people, they latch on and start feeding off other people's energy. Some of them may benefit. You can think of psychopaths who have unlimited energy. It's quite clear that they're getting it from somewhere, and everyone else around them is dead tired. It's because their entities are benefiting them. But most people's, unless you're a real psychopath or very fortunate, don't aid you. They just drain you.
So the idea is we're like a battery. Our soul essence, or whatever you want to call it, our eternal infinite essence is like a power plant of energy, and it's being fed off of. Is it something like that?
I would.
I mean, yes, we're being attacked. We're being attacked energetically, and it's not good.
Yes, energetically, we have a soul in our chest, and entities target it. They steal pieces of it. They steal pieces of your soul energy, to be specific. So we do have a set amount of energy, and they do target us and bring it down and down and down, lowering our overall energy levels.
Interesting. So when you did work on me, you're like, oh, your energy body's just, it's like gone. It's like, so I was walking around with an energetic, I guess, mirror of myself that was just like smashed or, energetically low or barely there. Is that correct? And you restored it?
Yes. So with the energy body, essentially it is in the same physical location as your physical body. If I move my arm, my energy body moves its arm. It is layered on top of you. It's just in another dimension, essentially. And over time, as negative entities target you, and most people watching your podcast are probably targeted, as they target you, they do damage to your energy body and they essentially wear it down. So before, when you had fingers, they've eaten the energy so much and damaged it so much that you no longer have fingers. And if I'm remembering right, Steve, you were, as the energy body gets damaged, the bits left over are normally the key energy cause of the human body, which is the heart, the brain, and the stomach. So you were a bit of stomach, a bit of heart, a bit of brain, and
they've eaten.
Gone. Okay, completely eaten, not there whatsoever. And then using my energy, I erased the negative entities that were on the leftover bits of you, and fully regrew your energy body.
It's incredible because I noticed the shift, but the shift was also immediate, subtle, but it continued. There were ups and downs. And after we ended our session, there were actually some points where I became emotional, and there were points where I had pains in certain parts of my body. And there were times where my energy was high. But the overall thing I got was I had pains in my back, lower back, which sounds natural, in my neck, in my calves that I have had for years, very, very, very distinct, always tight. And after all our sessions, they were gone. And, your work, I know, did that. So basically restoring the energy body and what you did, I guess gave me back the energy and the balance that I needed. So I didn't have these pains. Is that correct?
Yes. Our energy body affects our overall health dramatically. For example, if you were to say break your arm, right, and for certain targeted people, their arm won't heal whatsoever. Their energy body and their overall energy will be targeted so much that their arm will not heal, even when it physically should. But if you're not that targeted, your physical arm will heal, but it's often never the same. And that's because your physical body has regrown, but your energy hasn't. Your energy has a whole lot of negative things that are just feeding off that wound because it's now an easier spot. And you'll often notice when it gets cold or something reminds you of it, you get pain there. When physically in your nervous system, there's no reason whatsoever for you to have pain, showing that it's not a physical pain, it's an energetic pain. And the stiffness that you're experiencing, which can be very real. I've had very stiff muscles before, which have greatly improved with energy clearing, is purely due to these things on your energy being reflected down into your physical body. And so you're not feeling them in your physical body, you are feeling your energy body, but because you're not aware you have an energy body, you just presume it's a physical problem.
That's just incredible. So the amazing thing is you walk in a gym and you could pick up other people's energy. And when you saw me, my code, you said I had a blue soul, and there's different color souls that based on different things, but I was blue. So technically there's code like matrix zeros and ones coming into our head that you can actually see in people. And mine was black and it should be blue. And you made it, you kind of corrected it. My code was corrupted. But the idea that there's code coming into bodies, and if you wanted to, you could literally see code going into everything.
Yes, the 12th dimension of the matrix, and I like to say the matrix is just a blanket term for the world we currently live in. The 12th dimension, everything's made up of code. It's mainly ones and zeros, but you've got all the other numbers, as well as a lot of negative symbols. And so long as you're alive, if you're dead, you don't seem to have a code body. But if you're alive, then you have a code body, which is completely made out of matrix code. Everyone's code body when they're born starts off as a standard blue code with a standard blue matrix, which is just the neutral energy of the world coming into the head. And then as they get targeted by negative entities, it becomes red. And oftentimes it'll be connecting to different negative sources. And then it will become black, and your code body will go from being red to black. And then you'll have this black negative code, which negatively affects your energy massively. So with you, your energy was essentially outside of the matrix, and you have a large pool of it. This is not the higher self. This is simply just a large amount of your own energy that's outside of there that you can connect to. So what I did was I erased the black code and the different sources that were causing it to go in your head. And it wasn't just in your head, it was piercing through all over your body, various different places and filling you with black code. But I erased the different negative code connections, then brought in a positive code connection and strengthened it along the way into your head, and then strengthened it and went through and cleared. And then gradually your body becomes blue and blue and blue. And now Steve's soul is a blue soul, but the positive blue energy is much more different to the neutral standard code. It's a light blue with gold and silver bits in it. It's not just, I'd say default matrix energy is about as standard blue as you can picture, whereas an old soul blue is light blue.
Okay. Am I light blue or norm or matrix blue?
No, you're light blue. Normal blue is an automaton.
That's interesting. So I mean, it's to me, it's just like, okay, like, how do you see it? And it's just amazing that all this really exists and the majority of the population aren't aware of it. So if all the work you've done on me, now what do I need to do? And what's sort of the most important thing for people who want to sort of learn about this and, say, okay, what's really going on with me? Why do I feel this way? What techniques can they learn to help, maybe if they're not going to have a session with you, is there a general thing people can do to help maybe get rid of entities or balance their energy or feel better?
Yeah, the most important thing in this world is energetic strength. On my channel, I have videos called The Fundamentals of Energy that teach energy training from the very, very beginning, building a foundation. And it's very simple. Okay, if you can do something as simple as, follow a cookbook or do a basic push-up, right? Like, not in terms of having muscle strength to do that, but in terms of following the example, right, and doing it, then you can do energy training. And with the energy world, having all of this knowledge, it's theory knowledge, right? It's information that you have, but unless you have the energetic strength, it won't help you much. So the best thing for everyone to do is to just train their own energy and build themselves up.
Yeah. Okay. So if you go back to your first video, that's sort of where you introduce yourself. And then the next video, it's the waterfall technique. And I do that all the time. So what is the waterfall technique doing for me, or for someone that doesn't know you, but is on your website and learning the waterfall technique? What essentially are the benefits of the waterfall technique?
Okay, well, the waterfall technique's the first video, Steve.
Yeah, no, but that's that's one of the things you should start with.
Right. No, I was just saying you said it was the second one. That's all. Anyway, the waterfall.
No, I said if you go to the first video you did, then the next one up is the waterfall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So with the waterfall technique, it is as simple as teaching someone very fundamental weight training for their physical body. It teaches you how to sense your own energy and how to move it around your body. And by sensing and moving your own energy, you are practicing and strengthening your innate ability to move around your own energy. And the more you do it, you'll notice that the amount of water normally becomes quite larger and it becomes easier to move around and you have more control over it. When you first start, for some people, it depends how much innate talent you have and how clear you are at that moment. Just getting it, starting in the head and moving down to their feet is hard. It's like they're moving like molasses, right? It's very thick. And as they get stronger, they can move it down like it's water instead of molasses. And then as they get better, they can spin it around their body. They can move it wherever they want. As you get better and better at sensing energy, you can sense energy outside of you and you can move that around as well, just like it's your own.
Yeah. And what's amazing is in that video, which is the second video you ever made, just to be clear, you said, like, when you do this, your hands will get heavy. And I was like, he's crazy, It's like, and I'm doing it. And literally my hands felt like I was holding bricks. It was just incredible. And, it really does balance you. It actually relaxes you. But you say just do it once a day. So where I'm going with this is, basically, you've like said, your hands, like, are you holding your phone a lot? Like your hand looks like it's being like eaten. Like it's just incredible. The attacks are everywhere from everything. I mean, there could be entities in coffee, in vodka, right? If I'm holding my phone, I could be energetically attacked. So it seems like there's no end to it. So like how it seems like we're doomed.
Well, I wouldn't say we're doomed, but once you do start reading up on what's happening overall with the energy world, the majority of it is negative and it's being actively pushed. And once you figure that out, it does, it can be quite daunting. But so long as you build up just some foundational energetic strength, you don't need to worry about most things. It's not like you'll do the waterfall technique once and you'll suddenly be way too sensitive and feeling pain. Essentially, you've had negative, especially if you're an alcoholic or drinking regularly, you've been filling yourself with negative energy for quite a while. And just because you're suddenly aware of it, you're not suddenly going to be attacked because of it, right? As you get energetically stronger and you start perceiving it more, you'll realize what's actually going on. But you were doing that damage before, you just simply were not aware of it. Coffee is fairly safe, depending on where you get it from, but that's fairly safe. But alcohol, it's definitely full of negative entities. It gives you a high, right? That way you keep going back to it. If there was no high and you just drank alcohol and got the hangover, no, it would not be, no one would be selling it, right? There wouldn't be an industry based around it. But because you get a high, you do it. And then the next day you feel terrible. And that's often your body trying to battle, yes, physically the poisons you've brought in, but also energetically the entities you've brought in from the alcohol.
Oh my God. So obviously you've said it before, but what, just give a really brief thing of what got you started and what your, quick synopsis of your journey to like where you're, maybe at the beginning you were learning and you didn't really weren't sure what you were doing, but then the more you practice, the better you got.
Well, what got me started, the earliest time I was really aware of anything energetic going on that wasn't physical is when I was growing up. I believe I was 3, and a tall man in a black suit and he had a black top hat and a black cane, and he was European, would just walk through the house. He'd just walk around. He'd walk through walls, and I'd comment to my mum, "Why is there a man walking through the walls of the house?" And she would just deny straight, that it was happening. And they did have a very odd thing where my family does not golf, and they kept finding golf balls in different cutlery drawers. And there was a golf course a bit away from the house, but they'd never been to the golf course. That was when I first thought something was odd. And then I, from a very young age, I'd say before I even had memories of it, was seeing what I believed were ghosts at the time. That was the first time I'd say as a child, I would have seen something that was a ghost, on TV, and you're like, oh, okay, these are ghosts then, right? This undead face that's in the corner of the room, ghost, monster in the corner, ghost. So I just labeled everything as a ghost and ignored them. They were quite terrifying, but I was of the mindset that if I just ignore them, right, they won't notice me. And now, fortunately at that age, they certainly did notice me. They were around me, but they weren't physical with me or anything like that. They were most likely feeding off my energy, planting implants in me, doing things like that energetically, but none of them were noticeably physically going after me. And then as I got older, things certainly got worse, especially when I was a teenager. And this does seem to be common. I'm not exactly sure the reason, but as people with the ability to see them turn 14, 15, negative entities, most likely because they've been around them and have been wearing down their overall energetic defenses, start attacking them. It can be energetically where you're trying to sleep and you feel there's an arm in your back. There's no arm. Or it can be physically where, I'll tell this story. There was one night when I was, I believe, either shortly before 16 or 16, and I was sleeping and things had gotten fairly bad, but I was used to it. So I used to sleep and there would be negative faces just all over the place. And I was seeing these with my physical eyes, not with my mind. It was very annoying. One very terrifying situation was I had this, oftentimes negative entities will show up as things to mess with you. So it may just be a big black snake monster, but it'll show up as a little girl. And I had a little girl that would mold my face, and not my face, mold my curtains that I have while I was asleep into the face of this undead little girl. And then she'd be standing there. That was very scary. But after that happened for about a week, it stopped being scary, and it was just like my life, right? And I'd say I was seeing it more than other people would have, because I was also seeing it energetically than just physically. They probably would have just seen muffled curtains, but I was seeing the energy of the curtains as well. But after a while, you get used to it, right? And I just was ignoring all of this stuff. Yes, I was scared while sleeping, but not that much. And it wasn't until I got physically attacked when I thought, oh shit, this stuff could actually kill me. So I was 16 and I was sleeping, and I woke up, and there was a man dressed in a full black hazmat suit type thing. Say like a leather jacket that covered his whole body, leather pants, and he had a black hazmat suit on and like glassy eyes. And I thought, all right, great, this guy woke me up, I'm going back to bed. And then my leg kicked by itself, and I thought, okay, well, that's happened before. And then he grabbed the base of my leg and started trying to drag my bed. And I had a touch lamp next to my bed, and I touched it a lot and got some light into my room. And because of the light, he could no longer say physically materialized in my bedroom. And then I used to sleep with the bedroom door open, and he went and stood in the doorway and just glared at me. So I got up and I turned on the lights and shut the door. And then on my leg, I had black soot marks. And that was when I first thought, holy shit, that if I didn't have a touch lamp here, this guy was probably going to, try.
So he manifested physically?
Yes, he manifested physically, right, as a physical being.
That would have given me a heart attack, man.
Yeah, and I slept with the lights on for like 2 months after that. It was quite terrifying. And then as I got older, I had a few more physical attacks. If you do have any energetic physical attacks, humans in general, and I know I just skipped a lot there, but I had a lot more targeting. But that's like, that was the moment when I thought, hang on, these things can actually kill you. Right? It's very unlikely, but they can. And I had.
Do you believe that now, or that was just something when you were 16 you were missing?
No, that happened when I was 16. That has not happened for, I'd say the last time anything physically manifested and attacked me, I would have been 21.
And what happened then?
Okay, so I'll tell that. So with humans, when we get scared, you say there's fight or flight, but there's also freeze. And as a child, I would just freeze in terror. But with entities, I figured out the freezing does not do anything. So you've really got the option of, if something physically manifests, you get up and you run, which, you're in your bedroom, right? You need somewhere to sleep. So I would get up and I'd physically try and hit them. And while that probably wasn't doing much, it did distort their energy and make it harder for them to, say, physically materialize. And entities in general, at least the ones that travel around and aren't part of a group, don't normally want people that fight back. They want people that they can attack night after night and just feed off their fear and, the horror that you're causing them. So if they show up, and it costs entities a lot of energy to physically manifest, when they show up, they use a lot of energy. And then if you don't get scared or, give them nothing to feed off and you just attack them, they're like, all right, well, this guy is a terrible investment. And they tend to stop doing that.
Are these the same entities that you clear out of me, or these are dead people that are they haven't
I would not say these were dead people. I'd say these were negative entities.
Mm-hmm.
But so there are different types of negative entities. There are what I'd consider grouped negative entities, different races. So, satanic demons, hellish demons. These are all a race of entities, right? And then you've got vagabond type entities that are just a big mess of negative energy that have been on Earth for hundreds of thousands of years. And unlike the group entities, which implant people and do things over time, they just want to go find someone, terrify them, feed off them, and move around.
Those are you call them vagabond energies?
Yeah, I group them under vagabond.
And they're like a group of thugs that have, been here astrally or whatever you want to call
I'd say they're more so individual thugs. They don't really work with each other.
would you say, I've heard okay, Earth is the third dimension, and like the fourth dimension is really like dodgy and dark, and like, so would you just say that you were kind of more, the fourth dimension was kind of sitting on top of you because you could see it, you had the ability to see it where most of us can't see it?
Right. I used to think that until I found out that most of the false, what we call now false white light entities, are also negative, right? So the fourth dimension, the way I see it, it's mainly negative cartoons, like type entities. Demons tend to be there, and then different fantasy monsters. You know, the kind of, you don't know, werewolves, vampires, hydras, serpents. They're normally fourth dimension, and then the fifth dimension, which all these New Age people want to ascend to, is false white light, right? So it's your archangels that look like yellow squid humanoids that are feeding off people. It's your different alien groups, Lyran, Pleiadian, Syrian, all negative, but they're better at cloaking themselves. Or the fourth dimensional entities also capable of cloaking themselves, but they mainly do it to scare you, right? So they'll cloak themselves as a bigger monster, whereas the fifth dimensional entities will cloak themselves as something more positive. And then there are more dimensions, but as far as I've seen, they're pretty much all just negative entities. I don't believe the whole ascension thing whatsoever. We certainly would not want to ascend to the fifth dimension because humans would be very, very outnumbered. Having a physical body makes it, and being grounded in the third dimension makes it harder for them to target us.
Oh, really? So if these false light entities in the fifth dimension, or wherever they are, let's say Archangel Michael, okay, what's he getting out of duping? How is he duping people down here?
Right. Well, there's no one guy called Archangel Michael. There will be a yellow squid humanoid, sometimes even reptilians if they know you believe in it. And they will just say, hey, I'm Archangel Michael, or they'll mask their energy as that. And because you believe in the archangels, right, and you freely give energy to them, that's the main reason they do that, right? Because for them, it's an investment. So they could target you and scare you for 20 years, or they could send some demons to target you for a week, and then you devoutly pray, and then an entity who's an archangel shows up and shoots them off, right? And they don't have to do that 2 or 3 more times for you than to devoutly pray every night for the rest of your life because you're terrified those demons are going to come back. So rather than, scaring one person each night, they can have millions of people on tap that they helped, 60 years ago.
I guess even just believing, gives your energy that way. It's like adoration that they're getting in a sense,
Yes.
Could be. I mean, but, I will say that the learning about the false light was like one of the more sobering things because I first learned about the Matrix here, like the Luciferian aspect of, inversion and perversion of reality. And then I read this article by Cameron Day called Why I'm No Longer a Light Worker. And he said that, he was like this love and light guy. But he said he was, I guess, you can read the article. It's called Why I'm No Longer a Light Worker. But he said he was having interactions with a light being because he was a light worker, and he sort of tested them, and he realized he went through what they were, and they were like a dark entity behind the cloak. And that was when he realized, holy shit, like all these light beings are just dark entities cloaked as light, and they're feeding. Yeah, is that right? I mean, dude, you can't, for the naive person that wants to believe this earth is good, or like, we're guided and this, that, and the other. I mean, that's quite shocking.
I mean, I was rather disappointed. It made sense to me because going back to why I got into this, there was a time, especially in 2017, when I was energetically very, very attacked. And because of that, I was very physically ill. And I prayed very devoutly, and nobody ever helped me. I wasn't even like, whatever was going on, what they, saw that I could potentially do, they didn't send any false white light beings to help me whatsoever. So I just had the negative ones kicking the shit out of me. So as I, had to, after a while, I willpowered my way out of that for the most part. And then I went on YouTube and was doing, guided meditations, things like that, trying to figure out what was going on. And then a friend in early 2018 sent me something called The Fundamentals of Magick with a K, which is now no longer on the internet, but my videos are pretty much version 2.0 of that, along with my own information. And that actually had techniques for energy training. And by using that, I was able to build my own energy. And while building it, I was still getting attacked by things that I still at that point wasn't aware of how to erase them, especially how to erase the ones outside of me. I understood going inside of your mind and erasing ones inside of you. But if there's one outside of you, I had to figure out, how to erase one that was also external to me. So there were quite a few hurdles that I had to, overcome and figure out on my own, because the information to do that, if it was out there, it might be, I certainly couldn't find it.
Yeah, well, so that also leads to the fact that you're, I hate the word salvation, but your cure or your remedy was, praying didn't work because, in a sense, you were being fed on even more, because there's a theory that we're a mirror, like whatever we reflect, we get back, right? So if you're reflecting desperation, the universe is going to give you more desperation. So really, it kind of makes sense that you have to take control of your own, body and energy. And that's what's going to give relief, meaning you didn't really find relief until you started clearing yourself personally. And it was you that was doing it. It wasn't like, some Pleiadian thing or Arcturian thing, right?
No, I tried out the Pleiadian and Arcturian thing, and it did not. First off, when I tried, I wasn't strong enough to see through the cloaking, but something felt very off. So I looked into it and backed away. And then I checked it a second time when I was stronger, and could see what was actually going on rather than just the energy, but I couldn't see through the cloaking, but it still felt off. And then the third time I checked, I could see them and I could see through their cloaking, and was very disappointed.
It's totally disturbing. I mean, even now when I hear it, and I've known about it since probably 2016, the first time I heard this false light idea, it's still highly disturbing, because it really makes you wonder, what the fuck? I mean, you can't trust anyone here. Everyone's lying here, and then everyone's lying over there.
Well, I wouldn't say the people here are lying, at least quite a few of them are, because they built up a brand, and after 20 years, and they go, hang on, something's wrong here, right? They're not going to suddenly quit what they're doing. But quite a few people, they corrupted, and they just so want to believe that what they're doing is right. They wouldn't be able to handle the mental blowback they'd receive if they were to say that the past 10 or 15 years they spent working with light beings and getting worse was wrong, right? That they have gone backwards for 15 years. So they just tell themselves that they haven't, because they wouldn't be able to process the truth.
Convenient denial, right?
Yeah, the sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah. So, the way my mind works is, and I think I've asked you this, and I can't still never, even though maybe you give me the answer, the question still comes up. The Galactic Federation of Light, the Federation of Planets, the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, the people from Orion, the people from Nibiru, the Aldebaran. I mean, it's endless. Venus. So as there's different dimensions, okay. Well, here's my question. Are these beings really there? Are they physical? Are there physical Pleiadians in the Pleiades? Are there physical Arcturians in the Arcturian, whatever? I mean, or this is all just another dimension where these people have energy bodies, but not physical bodies, or they don't even exist. Is it just a program?
Well, the problem with saying it's just a program is, so these Arcturians, all of these negative entities, none of them have souls, right? As I energetically erase them, I basically get an autopsy to see everything that's there. There's no organs or anything. It's only just negative energy creating these entities, and then there's no soul, right? So they are programs. But if you think about it, okay, in this third dimension, everything here is made out of code. Now, does that, like my pig does not have a soul, right? Does that mean it's not real? And the answer is no, it's real. But I wouldn't say these negative entities are I wouldn't say they were created in this matrix. I'd say they're from other matrices, and they've come in this one to feed, essentially. It's a very good feeding ground for them. It's a free-range farm, unfortunately. So I wouldn't say, so if you were to take a spaceship and go to the Pleiades, you probably wouldn't see these things physically. You'd see their spaceships because they get annoyed and they'd be like, probably blow you up because you're in this area. But in terms of seeing them physically, I don't believe they're third dimensional anywhere within this matrix.
Okay.
When I have seen blocked memories of myself and others when they've been abducted by aliens, they're normally phased from the third dimension into another dimension, and their physical body is phased there as well. But these entities are not then third dimensional. They are simply physical in the fourth or fifth dimension that you've been phased into.
Wait, you're saying they're physical in the fourth or fifth dimension?
Yes, I would consider them being physical.
Okay, so
from their point of view, the fourth dimension is our third dimension, right?
Okay, so there's there's flat Earth theory. So the Galactic Federation of Life, the Federation of Planets, are these things real? And are there intergalactic wars? And I mean, I don't
think so.
Okay.
I don't see why these entities would be warring against each other. They do fight against each other in people's bodies for more space, but I do not think they're fighting over Earth. The Galactic Federation, I would just say, is a group. It's a clever buzzword name that the entities, almost like a human who was hijacked by entities, came up with. But at the moment, I do not believe it's real. And even if it is real, it's certainly negative. None of these entities have our best interests at heart, right? Their best interest is to just keep feeding off us. And the main reason that these things are set up and why there's so many traps and all these false white light things is because people begin to start energy training. They begin to say, hang on, what's going on here? This place doesn't add up right. And they go, oh no, see, it all makes sense. Here's all the answers. All right, just follow this path and you'll end up in nirvana, in eternal bliss. And then you go, oh, all right, I guess I'll do that. It's just another trap, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a theory, that you when we exit our bodies, we take our belief systems with us. So very much our death experience is going to be tied to what we believe here. The question I had next is not really related to that. It was like, do you think we can incarnate into physical aspects or physical bodies elsewhere as another humanoid in a different star system? Is that possible, do you think?
Another star system in this matrix? No, I don't think so. Unless there are other farm planets in this matrix, which is unlikely. I would say that again, I've seen quite a few people past lives in my own, and the ones on Earth, we're on Earth in this area, right? We don't seem to be getting moved all around the place. We're never aliens, we're never anything like that. We're humans, most likely so they can eat more as they feed off us, but we're humans and we just loop and loop and loop.
All right, so wait. So when people are going to say, who's feeding off of us? And I know you've said entities are feeding off, but who's they? Like, is there a control system of soul harvesting that keeps us in a loop? And this is an energetic soul, harvesting feeding ground, for entities that need our life force to live, and they're feeding off us life after life. Is there some truth to that? That we're recycled?
I'd say we're definitely recycled. I wouldn't say they need our life force to live. I'd say they're most likely capable of sustaining themselves for the most part on their own, but they can grow stronger and they can give birth to new entities and overall just increase the strength of their race by feeding off of us. Who are they? Basically, all the different negative entity races, right, are all feeding off us, and all the false white light ones as well, mainly for power and control. It's just how they're made.
Well, it's funny because, it's not funny, but the movie Monsters, Inc., when I watched that when I wasn't awake, and then I watched it after, I was like, holy shit, it's like the whole premise of this cartoon movie is, scaring children for energy, and when you say they feed, in a sense, the feeding has to be on fear, doesn't it? Like, and that's perhaps the whole agenda, is to keep this whole aspect, this whole energy, matrix in a reality of constant, suppression, oppression, and fear. Is there any truth to that?
Well, with energy, there are two polarities, right? So there are the human souls, the souls that are right now in human bodies, that are positive energy inherently, and then the negative entities are on the polarity of negative, right? So they can feed off any negative emotion, hatred, lust, fear. I mean, fear is a pretty easy one to invoke in people. So I wouldn't say that I haven't thought of Monsters Inc. like that before. Now that you're saying that does certainly make sense. But they are incapable of feeding off any kind of positive emotion, right? It's the opposite of their polarity. So it would make them weaker, just how fear and hatred make us weaker over time.
Gotcha.
Positive emotions would make them weaker.
Gotcha. So there's a guy, I forget his first name, but Mazursky, he spent his whole life in mental hospitals. And I guess what they try and label psychosis here is, some sort of brain abnormality or something like that. But what he's determined is that the people in insane asylums are energetically targeted, and it's not them, it's the entities that are literally latched to them that are causing this psychosis, this mental, whatever they're going through, whatever puts you in an insane asylum, that it's not the person, it's the outside energetic attack. And I just found that remarkable. So, how many people are running programs that aren't them, where they're in anger or they're drinking or they're, killing or they're beating their child? I mean, is this entity possession or entity targeting or entity parasitic behavior? Could it be?
Yes, it definitely could be. Humans do still have self-accountability. Even if you're completely covered with entities, you're still very deep down there, right? So I wouldn't give anyone a pass for saying, oh no, I was controlled by entities. They can certainly influence your thoughts. They can put negative thoughts in you and loop them and things like that. But at the end of the day, you are still accountable for your own actions, no matter how much a negative thought is looping in your head. If you have any kind of basic morality, you're aware that that's not a good thing to act upon.
But they get off on, if they can influence us to make bad decisions or to drive a car into another car or have an accident my point is all these things seem happenstance, but the thing that blows my mind is that, I guess we're here to experience duality, and maybe without them, we couldn't. So without a dark side, or there'd be no polarity. So I'm not saying we need them, but if you think about it, a lot of the tragedy on Earth is because perhaps of this energetic dark force that's, steering humanity or certain individuals into this, this situation that's going to cause pain and suffering. And I mean, if that's true, it's kind of sobering,
I think there could still be a polarity. There are evil souls and minority. But there would still be a polarity even without negative entities. Overall, most people who have entity problems, their mental state and physical state would be much better without the negative entities. I wouldn't say they're a natural part of the ecosystem. I would say this matrix was most likely designed without them, and also it might have been designed with a few, perhaps ghosts and things like that being a possibility. But it certainly was not designed to be in the state it is now, where you're just being, unless you have an idea of how to protect yourself, just bombarded with negative entities and entities.
I mean, there's a theory that we're creator beings and that this entity is feeding off us, or the souls that are the bodies that do terrible things are actually entity possessed, and that they're kind of feeding off of our creativity and our, there's a theory that we're able to create at the speed of thought if we're uninhibited by fear and all these things that oppress us, that our true essence is the ability to create at the speed of thought. So, basically, is that partially true? And are they using our creative ability to create a reality that suits them, but isn't necessarily good for us?
No, I believe the reality is pretty constant regardless of us. I do not believe that we have the power to, create with our thoughts, instantly.
Okay.
Certainly not. Perhaps if you energy trained a lot and you were really clear, you could, but there's no way you could attain anywhere near that level of power without clearing up yourself from these entities.
Well, of course.
First.
I mean, we can never do it in our bodies without being aware and fully cleared is what I'm saying. But if you were able to take all the layers off the battery that we are, the sole source of energy that we are is I guess eternally powerful or eternally creative or eternally, it could do amazing things.
I would say theoretically, yes, if you were to clear yourself and fully retrieve all your soul energy and really build yourself up, then yes, I don't see why it wouldn't be possible.
Yeah. I mean, so all of this is such a marvel to me, like that even like before the interview, you're like, oh, I can sense, you're anxious or something, like, because, we couldn't get the mics working. It's like you were picking up on my energy. I just find that, for you, it's nothing. But for the person that's not aware of it, it's like, how the hell is he doing that? Or what's he feeling? Or, so I just find it remarkable that you getting into remote viewing. I know the Army's been doing it for decades where they're teaching people how to remote view, because what they do is, and I guarantee you, most of the public don't know this, that the reason they're training people to remote view is so that, someone who can remote view can say, well, okay, we'll go into the Kremlin and, even though you're in Idaho, and go into the Kremlin and see what's going on. I mean, is that really like you remote view into me and see what's going on energetically? Is remote viewing, are there all different forms of it? And is it possible that, military remote viewers are able to do that? Like a spy, like a remote viewing spy.
Yes. I mainly just practice energetic remote viewing. I don't really have a need or want to see physical places at the moment.
Yeah.
But in terms of remote viewing, yes, you could remote view into physical places with practice. Unless someone's put up a kind of energetic blockage or shield around an area, then yeah, you can just go wherever you want.
The average person won't understand it. So, and I'm the average person. So it's like, okay, well, how do you do it? And what does it mean? Are you like, is it like you're walking in the Kremlin? If you're remote view, like you're literally there? Can you be seen? I've heard remote viewers can be seen, even though they're not there, their body's in another place.
I'm not aware of the military's technique, but I've certainly never been seen by anything physical. I'm seen by entities because I don't normally remote view and look in the third dimension. I don't really, but what's going on here, I'm not that worried about. But entities certainly see me, and I certainly see them while remote viewing. The concept is essentially it's a semi out of body experience. If you've seen any TV series like Bleach or anything where someone's had an out of body experience, it's essentially that you're still in your body, but your consciousness, what you're seeing in your mind, is viewing a particular location that you've chosen to go to.
That is wild.
And so once you're in that location, just how you would if you were playing a video game character, I normally choose to see myself in third person. You can then look around and you can see the overall area.
Is it clear, or is it, is it like a cartoon? Is it like a hologram?
It depends on the area, and it depends on if you have blockages inside of you, blocking you. And it also depends on the area and the dimension you're in. So if I were to go and say, see a beach near me, right, by my viewing and hop in the water, I could feel the water, and beaches are fairly clear energetically. But if I were to view a cemetery for some reason, right, and you were to be like, okay, second grave, what's that guy's name? I'd be like, oh, I have no idea. All I see are Grim Reaper entities, right? There's just so much stuff everywhere that I'd have to clear up the cemetery before I could. And again, I don't practice much physical remote viewing, so I could potentially get the layout of a tombstone and see that, but the little details just would not be there.
Wow. So I had a reading by someone, and I remember I asked a question. I can't remember what it was, but she's like, she kind of goes in. I don't know what she's doing. And she's like, oh, there's a sentinel. I can't go any further. And I'm like what? Like, it's like a cartoon. It's like, what's going on? It's like the whole thing seems so odd that like, I don't know what she's seeing, but the information she was trying to get, there was like something that stopped her, like a guard. I mean,
there's often negative entities and false white light entities cloaking themselves to stop someone clearing something in you. For example, when I was clearing, this is fairly common when you do your own inner trauma erasure. So let's say you were bullied and you want to energetically go in and you feel you've got an energy problem here. You go in and then someone dressed as, they can be a cartoon character, they could be a physical looking person, will say, hey, you can't go in there. I'd be told it's off limits. And what you should do is energetically attack them. They'll normally transform into a blue reptilian or an archangel, and then you kill them, right? And then you can go in and have a look around. But if you're, and you're a light worker, you're like, oh, sorry, the Captain Kirk says you're not allowed to go into this trauma at this moment, Steve. It's for your best good, so we're just going to leave this one alone for now.
Yeah.
Right? Well, it may be the most important trauma, which is why they've got a negative entity to just stand in the doorway and tell gullible people.
It's like a guard protecting them, protecting the source of their energy. It's like, no, you don't want to see this. Like, no, because we don't want it taken away,
Yes.
And what's so funny is a lot of your process is you have to basically attack everything to get rid of it. And that's kind of an odd, paradox. Like you're healing, but you're attacking to get it done.
Well, again, it's simply a reverse polarity, right? So I'm positive energy. So unless something is made out of positive energy, if I attack it and it's negative energy, which pretty much everything is when I'm clearing, it takes damage and reacts. And, this thing that was cloaked as your sister is now a 20-foot tall octopus monster, right? That's suddenly annoyed that someone's attacked it.
It's kind of cool. It's kind of like they're cowards, like they're hiding behind this thing. And as soon as you challenge them, because that's what Cameron Day said, he's like, as soon as I challenged, they like either ran away or like, it was something different. Like you're kind of saying, meaning.
Yeah. Negative entities, they're not capable of creativity and they're juvenile, right? So if you insult them, they'll get angry. If you attack them with any energy to make sure, they won't just like take the hit and try and stay cloaked. They will immediately erupt into their monster form and be like, how dare you, and then they'll threaten you as you're racing them. Negative entities, they tend to do one of three things. They attack back, they try and flee, or they just beg you and cry. That's it. They don't have any, they're very simple programs. They're not complex.
Yeah, it's like he said, when you die, if you're, I don't know what your level is going to be, but look, if someone comes up and says they're your mom, just say, are you working for the false light? And apparently he said, if you ask them that,
I'd say don't bother with the asking. The problem with this is, and you hear this often from channelers, it's like, how do you know what you're talking to is good? Oh, well, if you ask them the same question 3 times, they have to tell you the correct answer. It's like, this is not Austin Powers. They do not have to tell you the same answer.
Okay.
If you ask the question 3 times, no, that's just, if someone shows up and they're your mum, right? Well, your mum, she should have a positive soul, right? And so go ahead and just attack her with your own energy. And if she, and for anyone who, suddenly remembers this when they died, they're like, well, how do I attack them? Just create a very big sword, like a comically large sword, and just whack them over the head with it, right? Now, if your mum takes damage and transforms into a reptilian, that was not your mum. Don't bother trying to discuss with these things.
I think it's slightly disconcerting. Okay, when once you leave your body, if you see your mom, you got to attack her to make sure it's her. It's like it's kind of quick. Crazy.
You did ask before if you could reincarnate somewhere else. The answer is yes. You are not stuck in this planet, right? You can certainly reincarnate if you so wish in other matrices that aren't currently massively infested. You can have a better time somewhere else. Because you, Steve, me, a lot of us have been here for a long time.
Yeah.
Right? We're talking thousands of years, and we've just been getting the shit kicked out of us and loop and loop and loop. This is actually a pretty good time to be alive. Yeah, we've got all this nonsense at the moment that we won't go into. Yeah. But in terms of free time, in terms of access to information, this is a pretty good time, right? If you were born in the 1800s, Steve, even if I were alive and doing this the same thing, I'm in Australia, right? Then you would have no way to access this information.
That's true. That it is incredible.
And I would have had no way to access the fundamental information I had, which is why these, false white light religions in particular were so important, because they're worldwide. So you go, all right, entities are kicking the shit out of me. Let's go into this religion, because there's no information out there. You just take what you can possibly get into.
Yeah.
But right now, we have the internet, right? You just have to find just one person who has a clue of what's going on and just follow their techniques, and you can get a pretty good foothold.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, if you think about it, we could get the answer to anything instantly. I mean, we could, or the so-called answer. I mean, it is a good time.
Not be the correct answer, but you can get an answer.
You could get an answer, yeah. I mean, so we're coming towards the end. I mean, look, so we're on the idea of like false light and attacking and challenging and knowing that there is a deception out there in the astral or when we leave our bodies. What do you think happens when we die or when we leave our bodies at that moment? And is that white tunnel a tunnel of deception? Is that a soul recycling, harvesting trap?
I would say yes. It's very likely the white tunnel is a trap. Now, I've had a few near-death experiences. So let's say you're 95 years old, Steve, right? You're dying. Now, when you die, you normally feel like an overwhelming calmness. It could be your energy, it could be something the physical body does, but you feel very calm and you don't really worry. Then you would die and you would exit your body. And depending on what you believe in, let's say you get the white tunnel. There are a variety of different things you get, but you get the white tunnel. So you suddenly are out of your body. You'd come out. You'd most likely see yourself as an energy, depending on your soul color, and you would be in a physical body, but you'd be able to float around. The way to fly when you're out of your body it's basically energetic polarity. So if you want to go up, basically magnetize your feet stronger down and you'll go up. Same with your head. Essentially, picture your body having magnets you can push on to move around. That's the simple way to move around out of your body. That's very important to know, because you don't want to get swarmed and not be able to move.
Do you think you become omniscient? Do you think you have a sense?
No, you do not become omniscient whatsoever, or you and I wouldn't have, hundreds of past lives when we died and then we fell for, they're like, just sign here, please. All right. Right. No, if we were omniscient, we'd be like, sign here, please. I'm like, what the? No, we're not. So you see the white tunnel and, oh, Steve, there's your mum. Oh, and she's so happy to see you. And, you may not have even liked your mum, but you're like, oh, my mum's here. All right, this looks pretty good. So you start to walk through the white tunnel, and then often you won't just get, unless they want to send you back immediately, they'll normally, you walk through the white tunnel and your mum could be there, just be an entity cloaked. And these are negative entities who cloak themselves as your family. They learn their role, right? They get a download of the person's information, and they'll be, if you're actually critical about it, it's pretty obvious. But if you aren't, you think, oh yeah, my mum, it's my mum, right? It looks like my mum. It sounds like my mum. And then you'll do a life review, and they'll pretty much pull up a video of your life and be like, all right, Steve, you did a pretty shit job. You'll watch it for, could even be years. You could be there for 20 years while they guilt trip you. So you'll just sign as many soul contracts as they can get you to. And then once you've signed all these soul contracts, and this area you're in, by the way, it normally just looks white. Like they didn't load anything, except they can pull up a monitor of your past lives, and you just sit there in this white area with your mum, who's a reptilian, and your dad, who's an archangel. And they both say, oh, come on, Steve, come on. What was that?
What were you thinking?
Oh, okay, I'll sign whatever. Just let me go back. Give me another chance. I don't want to go to hell for eternity. And they're like, all right, Steve, we won't send you to hell for eternity. We'll give you another chance. But just sign here, and they'll pull up as many soul contracts as they can give you to sign. And then you sign away, and then off you go. Memory's blocked off, lot more soul contracts. Your energy has not been repaired. You still have soul damage and other damage carrying over from your past life. And then that past life energy gets stored as a ball that is chained to you with the rest of your past lives, and you're back again. So that's if you do the way they want you to. So instead, let's say you die and you see the white tunnel, right? Immediately look around you. There's probably just black. Use your energy and just attack the blackness and just break out of that hole. Then you'll probably be in a just even more black area. Here, you're outside of the tunnel. So you can just simply, if you've done energy training, hopefully you have, you can simply do that. Put your hands into the matrix, just into space, and then just with your intention, you can rip it open. With the intention of exiting the matrix, you can use your energy, if you're stronger, to just make a wormhole through the matrix, just with your intention again and using your energy, and you'll go through. That'll be, you'll actually be able to step where you want to go out if you do that.
I've heard other people say that's like a net. You got to rip it open and get through it. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, I can conceive of it. It just sounds fucking crazy in the sense that there's even if it is that, you know, there's a net over the fourth dimension.
Just like nothing, you're not getting out. Look for other people's holes, right? And then, or other people's wormholes. Now, feel into it use your own intuition. You'll have to go off that. And, you know, once you feel that there's one that's right, go through that hole, and that's how you'll get out. Now, fortunately, you know, we do have some time right now. You can energy train, and when you die, you don't even have to energy train for a few years, right? Try and do at least 2 years before death. And that's casual energy training. I'm not telling you to go to a mountain in the middle of nowhere and train for 2 years.
Bury myself up to my neck in sand.
No, I'm telling you to do the waterfall technique for 10 minutes a day and gradually go. Go up.
Well, also there's consequences. If you got to. I mean, you don't have to be a saint, but you need to lead a clean life. I mean, there are consequences to drinking and smoking, and you attract darkness and low vibratory stuff that brings your energy down. And I think I had a reading, and I remember him saying, he's like, when you die, you're not going to see the tunnel because your energy is higher. It's like, meaning, and I said, well, what do I do? And he said, like, you're actually going to flip inside out. You're going to go into your soul and come out. And, that was sort of his idea of going into the light, was I'm going to go into my own essence or something. But at any rate, I don't know. It's obviously, the biggest question on the planet is what happens when we die. So, everyone's probably interested in this, but it sounds insane. But I do think that some people, it depends on your beliefs and your vibration, that when you die, that you'll see the light. If you believe in a tunnel of light, when you die, that's going to be right there, I think.
Right. I've heard the same thing. By the way, you flipping into your soul, that sounds very unlikely. I haven't heard of that before, but I wouldn't put too much stock into that.
Well, it means nothing to me because what am I going to do? Like, remember that after I die? Like, oh, got to go into my heart, like, I don't know.
Right. But no, yes, with belief systems, if you believe, like you adamantly believe that you'll go on to somewhere, right? Just a religious belief. If they deem it's worthwhile, that you might be a bit bossy and be like, no, I want to go to my religious place. I don't want to go to the, to the life review. Where's heaven? They're like, all right, here's heaven. And they may take you there and then do your life review there in an area that looks like what you at least could believe it as, right? So they'll set up an area or they may just, you come into this white area and you're like, this isn't where I want to be. And they just might implant you with something and they'll be like, close your eyes and open them. Or they'll do the movie where Dorothy, I can't remember the name.
Wizard of Oz?
3 times. What was that?
The Wizard of Oz.
The Wizard of Oz, right? The two, just tap your feet 3 times and open your eyes, and then you'll be where you want to be, right? Just so they can get you to sign away that they do whatever they can to trick you, right? They're like, we'll just rearrange the area, make it look believable.
And it's like Dorothy always had the power to break out of the astral control system, but she just wasn't aware of it. She always could go to the real heaven or the real, uncontrolled aspect of astral. Wow, man, this has been a cool conversation.
You just had to tap your feet 3 times. You wouldn't need to make this video.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to close, but what kind of intrigues me is the videos that you make. Sometimes you say, okay, I'm going to embed energy and you can listen to this over and over. You don't even need to have the audio on, and you will get an energetic cleansing, an energetic something, an energetic lift, because it's like your energy right now, you're balancing me because you're probably at a cleaner energy level, like, with less anxiety, less fear, of course. But how is that done? And it does work, right? Meaning if I have a session with you, I record it, and after we're done, I can play it over and get the same benefits or similar benefits. My point is, if you do cord cutting on me, and then the session's over and I listen to it again, is it still cutting cords?
Well, with cord cutting, once I'm done with the session, you don't really have cords. But let's say for example, just overall entity erasure, right? If I were to do a session with that, during that session, I, for an hour, erase your negative entities. And then once I'm done, the video that we've recorded of that session has basically recorded the energy work done at that moment. Now, it's not as strong as a live session. It's basically a watered down version, but it is still quite helpful. And it, as you play the video, even on mute, the energy of that is recorded in the video, and it works. With my healing videos, those are different because what I do there is while I'm live, I energetically just send out my own energy to work on people as it's going on. And then as you watch it, that live healing is, again, just encoded in the video if you're watching it afterwards, and it still continues to work as well.
So are you, while you're, I've seen your videos like that you have on your channel where you're just having a chat. It's a live thing and people are asking questions. So during that, are you consciously transmitting energy out to, that's good? And are you seeing like, hey, someone over here has got a dark spot on them, I'll clear that? And like,
no, I don't bother honing in. What I'll see like numerous energy streams going out of me into different people. But I don't bother looking where they're going. I just know it's working on them overall. And I am consciously doing it when I start. So when I start, I set up my energy, I set it to do its own thing, and then I've automated it because I've done it enough times that it happens automatically, and I can feel it and I can see it happening, but I'm not having to focus on it. I just hit the button because I've done it enough that I now have the button to just hit.
That's great. So as we wrap up, what we're telling the audience is you can go to your YouTube channel, Purple Energy, and you could listen to those videos and you could get a benefit, even if you don't know anything about you or anything about, meaning you could maybe feel better, have an energy lift, have an energy where you're not as down or something like that, possibly just from listening to these videos with the sound off, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And as you do energy train, hopefully, what you'll notice is if you were to say watch one of my healing videos even without audio, and then you were to come back 3 months and you just casually energy trained maybe like 2 days a week.
Yeah.
No one used Steve. 2 days
Sounds like me.
for 3 months, you'll notice that your energy sensitivity is stronger. And it's not that the energy in the video has gotten stronger, but you can feel it and you're more aware of what's going on. And as you get stronger, you can see the energy and it becomes much more real to you. Now, you're not seeing this with your physical eyes, by the way.
Okay.
That gets very annoying very quickly. You're seeing it with your mind, and you essentially would hone in and say, I want to see the energy from this healing video. I want to feel it. And you want to turn it up or down. And that would, allow you to tweak your experience and, let you see what's actually going on.
Wow. Okay. I think that's a great place to kind of start to wrap it up. So, I highly recommend Lawrence's website is www.purpleenergy.info. Yes, info. That's it. .info.
Yes, that's
and
it.
You go to sessions, and you usually say, "Look, if you're curious, start with soul retrieval." Is that you have a bunch of them? Yeah. Okay. So you could go and click soul retrieval, and that could be your first session, and then you could figure it out between the two of you. And it's on Skype, and it's recorded, and you have the recorded session, and you can listen to it over and over again. Is there anything, do you have an upcoming book or anything? I don't know. What's your, is there anything you want to tell the public that we didn't cover, or, where they can get you or email you? I don't know whatever you need to say.
No, well, my email's on my website. That's fine. No, I don't have any plans to make any books at the moment. That, ask me 3 years from now, Steve, when enough people have bugged me for one, but it's unlikely at the moment. If you see a book from me, that's not mine.
Okay. Well, it's been a great session. I love talking about these things. We'll do it again because these are very interesting concepts and ideas and things. So I appreciate your time. And again, it's Lawrence of Purple Energy at purpleenergy.info. And we'll see you again another time. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Steve.